Doug.
And I'm Cathy.
And this is Maggie Mae. Join us as we follow the moon. Welcome to San Diego. And Cathy had spent a lot of her life in San Diego area, so she's kind of being our tour guide as we go through and we hit some of the highlights of things you definitely won't want to miss when you come to San Diego. So come along and enjoy the sights with us.
Thanks.
Now we start off today in Old Town. And Old Town is actually a historic state park in the middle of San Diego. And it's beautiful.
It sure is.
It is definitely like taking a step back in time. And these buildings that you'll see around it are old historic buildings that have been repurposed for their modern day uses, with just a couple of exceptions, and we'll show you those as we go. We got there early in the morning, actually I believe it opens at 10 o'clock, and we got there before it had opened at 10. But they had some really, really cool things to walk through. The old mission is right there at the edge of it. And also right there at the edge of Old Town is the Whaley House.
Oh, love that place.
The Whaley House is known as America's most haunted house. Now this isn't like a haunted house or anything like this. This is true sightings. When we had been here years back, we got a couple of orb pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But lots of street vendors and that sort of thing. This is right in the middle of it. And the La Casa de Estudillo, I believe is the way it is pronounced, is a historic home.
Yeah.
And it's been preserved through the California state parks. This is what it looks like when you go in. By the way, this is all free of charge. So this is definitely something to bring the whole family to. The rooms going around the outside of
a courtyard.
The casa, around the outside of the courtyard, have all been set up to look like what the rooms would have looked like in the day. That dining room, you can tell that's the heart of the home.
Absolutely.
And this is all, like I said, ran by the California State Parks. They do have rangers there on site. This is a recreation of what Old Town San Diego looked like in its day. There's also an area there called Fiesta de Reyes, which is kind of like Party Central.
Yeah.
Now, again, 11 o'clock in the morning, but you get there in the evening and it's a whole different vibe. This was a spot we stopped at. This is called Barra Barra, and this was a very well-known Mexican restaurant and great menu. This one, I kind of have to brag up a little bit. We left there thinking this is some of the best Mexican we have had on the entire trip.
Yep.
Started off with chips, salsa. I don't know if it was a mole or a black bean.
I think that was black beans. It was really good.
Great homemade guacamole. They brought Maggie her favorite beverage. Cathy had chili relleno dinner, and I had the combo of the tamale and the enchilada, and they were amazing.
Tons of food.
Yeah, huge portions. Another spot that needs to be on your San Diego list is Balboa Park. And Balboa Park was formed in 1868, and it stipulated that it always has to be a public park. Right where we parked, we were right by Alcazar Gardens. Beautiful garden. The architecture here is just amazing. That tower over there is at the California Quadrangle, and that is probably one of the most iconic buildings of all of San Diego. It houses the Onamelo Carillon, which is a 100-chime symphonic carillon. Wish we could have heard it. This is almost like a little square in the middle of it. Now, they do have some food vendors, but this is not a shopping complex. This is park.
Right.
And it's park full of nature. These trees were just fantastic. The root system. But they've got a nice nature walk there in the middle. It is chock full of museums. This one is the Spreckles Organ and Pavilion. This was actually opened up in 1915, and they still do free concerts there.
Everything is so ornate. It reflects the Spanish style.
And it's all beautifully preserved and very well maintained.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the Japanese Friendship Garden. We've got some shots going down there. They've got the Museum of Photographic Arts. They have a train museum.
Science Museum, the History Museum.
You name it, they've got it here, including Zorro Gardens, which was a nudist colony. And it's noted because it's the only nudist colony known that they had an observation area where you could pay 25 cents and watch the nudists. Only in California. Beautiful fountain there. And all of these buildings house museums.
Mm-hmm.
Natural History Museum. But the architecture is just amazing. Now, this is a fig tree, and it was planted around the turn of the century, going to the 1900s. It is 60 foot tall, 125 feet across. It is full of figs. Now, this little Spanish Village Art Center is so bright, vibrant, and colorful, and right beside it is the entrance from the park into the San Diego Zoo and to the Balboa Park Railroad. Probably one of the other iconic things of the park is the Botanical Garden, and it is being reconstructed. It's been there for 110 years. It's a metal structure, and it was just time. So it's being completely taken apart, completely rebuilt. It'll have new LED lighting in it. It'll have new temperature and irrigation controls, everything state of the art, and is hopefully will be open late in 2023. The koi pond is still there. I think there were more ducks than there were koi, though.
I think so.
But a beautiful place to spend a day, and you can certainly spend a day.
Absolutely.
Or more.
Mm-hmm.
Now, next up are the canyon bridges of San Diego. We're going to show you two of them here. I believe there's 7.
There's 7.
This first one is a driving bridge. It's the First Avenue Bridge. It was built in 1911.
And you can hike through the canyon to see all 7 of those bridges.
Now, the second one we're going to show you is the Spruce Street Suspension Bridge. And this is a pedestrian bridge. It was built in 1912. And we had a couple people on the bridge that wanted to see how far they could rock it. But when that's not happening, it's a very stable suspension bridge. It's amazing. And the view from the suspension bridge down to the trail in the canyon. Next trip, we find the other 5.
That's right.
And we walk the canyon.
That's right.
Now, this was really, really a cool spot. The Maritime Museum of San Diego. You can actually get tickets and go on board these vessels. The Star of India is kind of the flagship ship of San Diego. It was the oldest ironclad ship in existence. It's been around the world 21 times. This is a steam paddle wheel ferry boat, and that submarine holds the record of the deepest dive by any submarine. Now, this is a private yacht that was parked there. It's the Atessa 4, and checked it out on Google. It's a $150 million yacht, and if you're thinking that that's expensive, it's $10 to $15 million a year for the maintenance and keeping it running. Makes RVing look cheap.
That's right.
There are several other yachts there, but kind of the flagship of that area is the USS Midway. Now the ship has been decommissioned. It's there as a museum now, full of aircrafts on top of the deck.
Beautiful.
Huge.
Yeah. Cruise ships come in there.
Mm-hmm. Now they've got the statues around the park. The big iconic off to sea statue is there right across from the Midway. This is a memorial for the USS San Diego, and that's actually the South Pacific and a map of everywhere it had sailed. Now next up is the Gaslamp Quarter. This is another older section of San Diego. It's bordered on one end by the San Diego Convention Center. Off to the side is Petco Park, the home of the San Diego Padres. Just a block away from this, and it is some shopping, a lot of eateries. San Diego's climate has just blown me away. Second and third weeks of June, it's been in the middle 70s about every day, and consequently people would rather spend their time outdoors than in. And all the way up and down the street are places where you can dine outdoors. They've even taken over part of the street and put in extra seating for these restaurants.
And during a good bit of the year, they close off that street to on the weekends.
Mm-hmm. They have more seating that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's home of the old spaghetti factory, a lot of famous, iconic restaurants. I like that one with the wooden Indian out in front of the cigar store. Now, this building is one of the oldest in the area, and as far as brick buildings, but the red one there right beside it, the Yuma building, is actually older. It's the oldest one off down the street.
And it was beautiful.
Yeah, the architecture up and down the street is just beautiful. Again, a great place to come spend an afternoon and just have a nice leisurely stroll. Next up, we're at Imperial Beach. And Imperial Beach is about as far south as you can go in California and be in California.
That's right.
You're looking across over there at Tijuana, and that is the Bull Ring by the Sea. We had to use Cathy's lens to get that.
And it was a cloudy day too.
But you could see it with the naked eye across there. This is kind of the iconic beach town.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a couple of these bronze statues around there that are really amazing. This place is mostly homes, apartments, condos, as well as beach, park. These people are outside, they're on the beach, they are really living the beach life there. When you first came to Southern California, this was
my first home.
What a way to get started. Now, one of the main parks in the middle of Imperial Beach is this one here. They actually were having a powwow celebrating Native American life here the weekend we were here. But this is where the pier goes out. And the pier is 1,490 foot long. It's a huge pier. That's about a third of the way out. At the very end, there is a seafood restaurant that was just busy all the time. And great views from the pier. Before we left Imperial Beach, we stopped at Baby Cakes. And Baby Cakes is all kinds of cupcakes. We had a chocolate fudge, a tiramisu, a raspberry filled, and Bavarian cream or Boston cream.
Boston cream, yeah.
They were excellent. The Hotel Del Coronado. Now, you talk about iconic San Diego. We've said that several times, but there's certain scenes that come to mind when you see San Diego, and this is definitely one. This was their original laundry building. It actually was in use up till 2018. Right beside it is the ice house. That was their ice plant, and they do have a little museum in there. One thing I will tell you about this, if you're not staying at the Hotel Del Coronado, it is open to the public. There are restaurants, there's beach, there's activity.
There's shopping.
And you can go in and wander through it and nobody will question it. We were kind of blown away by how open it was, and we really did appreciate that. It is a National Historic Landmark. And when you walk inside, it's definitely like walking back into another time. That wood coffered ceilings. This is where you check in, and it looks just like I'm sure it did years ago. They've got a lot of nostalgic pictures around. There are celebrities, there are presidents, there are famous people from the business world, all pictured throughout the hotel. The grounds are impeccable. When you go through the hotel towards the ocean side of it, you'll see the big pool area. And again, you do have free room of all this. We had Maggie with us. She was in the backpack, and she was standing up. She wanted to see what was going on. I'm not sure. I don't remember the Volkswagen bus, if it was a coffee bar that was open in the morning, but it was an old Volkswagen bus parked there on the beach. I thought it was great.
This is someplace I've always wanted to go.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It was Father's Day weekend when we were there, and they had some sand castles built there for it. These are, I'm going to do a disservice to say bungalow or cottage, because I think that's what they probably were, but they were enormous.
Yes.
And speaking of enormous, the beach was huge, beautiful white sand beach. Now, this is a dragon tree, and the dragon tree is famous because it was in the movie with Marilyn Monroe, Some Like It Hot. She also was known to frequent that hotel, as well as many other Hollywood celebrities. Just a short ways from there is Centennial Park. And Centennial Park, it was actually home to the Coronado ferryboat terminal back in the day. And it is directly across the San Diego harbor from San Diego. So you've got a beautiful view of the San Diego skyline. We got there later in the day, and the skies and the colors just kept getting prettier and prettier. You could watch the planes coming in across San Diego and taking off over the water. And if you look clear over on that right-hand side, you'll see the Coronado Bay, or the Coronado Bridge. Again, another one of those sites that's very famous to San Diego. So Cathy, what did you think about our time in San Diego?
It's amazing. I love San Diego.
You've got a lot of history and a lot of time that you've been in this area of the state. And I think you've seen a lot of changes.
Oh, I have, definitely.
But it is a beautiful spot, and if you've never been, you certainly have to come.
Absolutely.
If you've enjoyed the video, leave us a thumbs up. We sure do appreciate it. And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please subscribe and ring the notification bell. That way you'll know when every one of our adventures comes out.
And thank you for following us as we follow the moon.
Thanks for watching today.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel.
And be sure to ring the notification bell so you'll know when new videos come out.
Don't forget to follow us on social media too.